we're going to be going into real questions from real business owners. These are 7 and 8 figure business owners that we've curated. If you have a question, you can drop a comment wherever you're watching this. You can also go to flashconsulting.com/question and submit a question for a future episode. All right, so the first question we have is about budgets and ads. And the person asks, if I increase my ad budget, will that actually bring in more leads or will I still be under budget? And I think this person's probably running ads. They're not getting the lead flow that they need. And they're wondering, well, if I increase my ad budget, will that give me more leads? Now, one thing to look at if you're running ads is what's called search impression share. This will show you on specific keywords how many times you're being shown out of the total search volume. So if 100 people are searching for this and your search impression share is only 10, that's 10% of the search volume. That usually tells you that you can increase your budget. And presumably, you're going to fill the rest of those searches with your business or your ad. And this will allow you to get more leads. Now, when we look at this, what we try to figure out is your cost per lead. So if you're spending $2,000 a month and you're getting 10 leads, that's $200 cost per lead. And if your search impression share is not 90% of the searches, then if you increase your ads budget, then you should get your cost per lead at $200. Maybe it goes up a little bit, but you should get more leads based off of your cost per lead. This is a very predictable way to scale up and down your ad budget if you know your cost per lead, and even better if you know your return on ad spend. So to answer this question is yes, if you look at your search impression share and you're not maxed out, then yeah, you should probably increase your ad budget from there. They also ask, why is our cost per lead so high compared to last year? Okay, so this is a big trend that's going on as AI search is coming into play. A lot of searches are not happening on Google as much as they were last year. So what that means is that people are competing a lot more for the searches that are happening on Google search, and they're increasing their budget. The other thing with home service is with the influx of private equity money and people that are coming in from outside and running these businesses, they're just pouring money into ads because they know that that's one way and a quick lever to grow the business. It might not be the best lever, but it's one lever to grow the business. So with the influx of all this ad spend and less searches happening on these platforms, it's driving your cost per leads up. The other thing is if you are running ads, sometimes people run broad match keywords. And what that allows you to do is get cheap leads, which is like broad matches. Like if someone searches for roof repair company, it's going to actually broad match might show you for people that are looking to how to do it themselves, like DIY. Where if you do exact match keywords, you can get exact keywords, but they're going to be a little bit more expensive because they're higher intent searches. So there's a bunch of ways you can play with this. I always tell people there's kind of like this graph of quality leads versus quantity. You can get really cheap leads if you run performance max campaigns and you just do broad match keywords for a bunch of stuff, but they're not going to be good quality and you're going to be spending a lot of time just calling people that are not the right fit. Where there's also a level of lead quality. Like, for example, you could go to your landing page where you drive traffic to, and you could put a lot of buffers on there. Like, you could say, okay, how many, what's your budget for? What is your address? And ask a lot more qualifying questions that people are going to say, okay, am I really serious about this or am I just, filling out a form? And so there's this X that happens, and every business is a little different because some people don't have a team to call all these leads. They just want warm bottom of the funnel leads, which means your cost per lead is going to be higher, but you're going to get better leads. So I guess you need to figure out what that is in your business and figure out what's a good cost per lead for you, and make sure that your ads or whatever you're doing is in alignment with your goals of getting leads coming in that are quality leads. All right, next we have performance and conversion. So how to know how many leads we are converting into sales and at what price point. So this person asked, how do we know how many leads that we're converting into sales and at what price point? So if you use a CRM, Jobber, House Call Pro, Service Titan, whatever it is, you should be tracking your leads all the way through into conversions. So what we do as a company is we pull this data out of CRMs. We look at leads year over year, then we look at jobs run year over year, then we look at quote count, so estimate count year over year, then actual closures, quotes converted, then we look at new customers. This data is going to give you that trajectory on a high level, like a very broad, level of like this many leads, this many jobs, this many quotes, then conversions. However, if you want to look at this on a granular basis, what we do is we pull these out for ad channels. So we're going to say, okay, for Google Ads, we did this, this, and this, and here's all the leads for Google Ads. Here's the return on ad spend for these exact ads. The beauty of this is that it allows you to see this information. Now, for most businesses, I used to work at a $3 million home service business as director of business development. Was I going through this every single day on every single lead? No. What I would recommend doing is for the first couple months when you're running ads and then spot checking. So basically if you turn on Yelp ads or you turn on Angie or Thumbtack and you're like, I don't really know about this, you should track those granularly for the first couple of months. And this is what we do as a company. Then once you kind of get into the rhythm of things and you have these numbers dialed in and you have performance dialed in, then you can start looking at it on a monthly basis and zoom out. And if the return on ad spend or the numbers don't line up, then you can double click, go in and look at the data. But that's how you do it. It's pretty granular process in your CRM. You have to have type data. Is there a way to find out why certain ads convert better? Absolutely. This is why you want to run ads to a landing page, and then that landing page needs to convert. You might put a promo on that ad, and then another landing page, you might not have a promo. We just went through this with a client. They do garage door repairs and that kind of stuff. And basically what was happening with them was they were running ads and they were getting a lot of traffic to their landing page, but they weren't converting as many leads as they needed to in order to get the cost per lead that they wanted. So what we did was we revamped the landing page. We went to the landing page. We said, okay, let's add a promo on here. Let's add a more direct call to action and let's release some of the friction points inside of this. Also, we added real before and after pictures that we didn't have before, that they took before and after pictures. And instantly in the first 2 weeks, they converted 5 leads from that landing page, where before it was very stagnant in their lead flow. So yes, there's ways to get better conversions and tracking it. I would recommend working with a company that actually looks at the data and make sure that that happens. And you as a business owner, you can ask these questions and figure out if this is working. All right, this is a really good question because this one comes up a lot in prospect calls or with most businesses. If our competitors have thousands of reviews and higher ratings, how do we compete with that? And this is one that we always have to answer. We work in a lot of saturated markets with clients. For example, like we had one HVAC contractor that we started working with. They literally in 10-mile radius, they had $200 million HVAC businesses in the exact same vicinity of them. They had probably 4 or 5,000 Google reviews, and this company had 100 Google reviews. So how are we going to compete with them? And fast forward, in the first 12 months, they doubled their revenue. They went from 1.5 to 3 million. And I'll kind of break down how I would go about this and how we educate people to do this. So yes, someone has thousands of reviews and you have hundreds of reviews. Is it realistic to think that you're going to outrank them on Google Business Profile, Google Map Pack? Probably not. If there's 3 businesses in your area that have thousands of reviews and 5 stars and you have 100 and you're at 4.4, there's really no realistic way that you're going to show up in the Map Pack. Same thing with SEO. If they're doing SEO, creating service area pages, and they've been doing it for 10 years, and then you come in and start trying to do it, it's not like there's some silver bullet for SEO that's automatically going to outrank you better than these other companies that have been doing it for years. So this is a very transparent conversation that we have to have with a lot of businesses because it's unrealistic to think that we're going to compete on those channels. The other piece is with ad spend. Okay, with ad spend, how are you going to compete with ad spend if they have $20,000 budgets and you have $2,000 budgets? This is why I said this question is very important because it comes up a lot. All right, so how do we compete? How do we double this company's revenue from 1.5 to 3 million? The first thing is we set up automations for them to be able to get reviews, and we set up incentives for their technicians to get reviews. But the big thing that we did was we worked on 2 other parts of the business. The first thing is the conversion funnel. The second thing is retargeting. So the conversion funnel, they had leads coming in and they had their technicians generating estimates. They just didn't have a rehash program. So they were converting 46% of the estimates, which is decent. And we helped them. We built a 21-day nurture sequence and helped them go to 58% conversion rate for a 12% increase. The other thing we did was we made it very easy for the technicians that are out running service jobs to create additional estimates on the job site. And this initially increased their estimate count by double. So they went from, I think it was around 200 estimates to around 400 estimates per month just from doing this. So very, very quick win by increasing your estimate count and increasing your conversion rate inside of your sales funnel. Now, that alone, if you don't get any more leads in your business, is going to help you grow your business. But the other part is retargeting, which I would say 90% of businesses we talk to don't do this. And that is taking every single prospect, customer, lead that has come through your business and is sitting inside of your CRM or some other platform and retargeting them to come back in with email marketing and text marketing and real sales focused stuff. So in this business that we doubled, what we did was they had 6,000 people sitting in their database that they weren't emailing or cross-selling different services. So we sent them 12 emails every single month, one every month for 12 months. So one every month over a year. And we generated $253,000 just from doing that. And we didn't even turn on additional email sequences after that. All we did was we just sent out one email every month cross-selling different services. Now there's more things that you can do inside of there, but A lot of people, they just focus on getting new customers in the door without actually fixing their sales funnel and retargeting. Now, I don't want to just dismiss the fact that, okay, well, how do you compete with new customers? So I want to share two different strategies that you can do right now. And the one is probably the lowest hanging fruit opportunity for every business listening. The one is there's a shift going on right now in AI search. AI search being ChatGPT, Google AI mode. And on these platforms, if you were to go there and ask for HVAC contractor near me and see the results that they give you, then ask, how did you come up with these results? And if you're not there, ask, how can you get there? How can you increase your ranking in these platforms? And it's going to tell you what to do. Now, what we found, I interviewed Neil Patel, Marcus Sheridan, some of these guys that are OGs in SEO on my podcast, and I asked them this exact question. And here's what they told me. And this is why I think it's a big land grab for a lot of businesses, specifically home service businesses, because the old crusty companies that have thousands of reviews that are just kind of set in their ways, they're not as nimble as smaller companies that are in the $1 to $10 million range, because those big companies, they don't have the ability to create content at the level that small businesses do, in my opinion. And the reason that I say content is because these AI search platforms, they're built on large language models. So they're built on the content that's out in the internet, educating these large language models to then bring people, into their search engine results page. So what I'm saying is, if you create content as a business, you're going to educate these large language models, and then they're going to take the content and educate themselves and then show you as the authority. So one of the tests that we've been running is, if you go to ChatGPT, type in HVAC near me, ask, how did you get these results? They're going to tell you it's the basic SEO stuff, right? This company has the most reviews, the most ratings. But there's one in there that they're going to tell you, which is authority. And authority is you creating content as the authority in your space and them recognizing you as the authority and then showing you. This is why I think it's a big land grab for a lot of businesses. The big companies, they're burnt out. They don't think that Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok is the move, because they know that traditionally, I used to think the same thing, was that when you create content, it's just to try to get leads. And most of the leads on these platforms are junk. What I'm telling you is that it's shifting. Just by creating content, you're educating these AI platforms that you're the authority, and they're going to show you. It's also going to help you from a branding perspective and getting leads on these platforms. But more importantly, it's the AI search side of things, which is why I highly recommend it. The other thing, aside from AI, is one that I actually did a webinar with Jobber on, which is building B2B partnerships. Again, these big companies, they're dominating from a ads perspective, from a SEO perspective. So they don't need to build B2B partnerships. Where smaller companies, they can come in and build partnerships with other local people in their community and build a referral partnership with them and get leads coming in. How does this look? If you're an HVAC contractor, go partner with electricians, plumbers, property managers, realtors, and build a B2B game plan and partnership inside of your business to get leads coming in from these other external platforms. What's going to happen is, you're going to start getting leads coming in that are warm, so you don't have to try to fight these cold leads. Then you're going to build a reputation in the local area that you're going to get referrals from when you do retargeting. They're also going to be easier to close for your conversion rate, and you're going to get more reviews from better people because they already like you, because they were referred to you. And it's going to create a flywheel that's going to help you rank better for local SEO as well. So I'm not saying don't do the SEO stuff, because that's going to help with AI search and just in general SEO. But what I am saying is that that might not be the way to win in this specific market. All right, next question we have on here is promos and offers. So if none of our competitors are running promos, should we offer one anyway? Yes. So when we think about promos, a lot of people, we see this all the time. It's like, you go to their website, it's embedded inside of their copy on their website. It says, oh, make sure to ask about $50. Or if you refer us, you get $50. Or ask about this $500 off, how to get this. And it's just randomly in the copy somewhere that no one's ever reading. And what we recommend is pulling this promo out and using it in this way. When you go to your website, have a pop-up on your website with the promo that you're running. Just like if you were to go to an e-commerce website to buy some, shirts or hats or something like that, you go to their website and they say, give us your email, you get 10% off your first order. Do the exact same thing for your business by running promos. A lot of people say, oh, well, our promo is going to cheapen my brand and we don't run promos, which I'm not against that. There's ways to run promos without even giving some type of a discount, but just adding more value on top. For example, lock in 2025 pricing now, because the manufacturers are increasing their pricing based off tariffs, for example, or get a free complimentary design or mock-up of X, Y, and Z with your whatever service that you're getting. So I'm not just saying give away everything and cheapen the brand, but you can elevate your brand by giving something away to people. So do promos work? Yes. If none of your competition is doing promos, then yes. it absolutely works. And if you're running ads to landing pages, as I mentioned before, run a promo on there and see if it helps you convert. What type of promotions actually compels people to click, like a percentage discount versus a free upgrade? All right, this is a great question. There's been a lot of studies on this, and the simple answer is dollars. People understand dollars. They don't understand free upgrades or percentages off. They want to know that you can get $50 off this service or $100 off this service opposed to 10% because they don't even really know the pricing of a lot of things. They're just going there and saying, okay, well, I need this service done. I need to get an estimate for it. And I don't know what the pricing actually looks like. That's why I like dollar off amounts. Now you can test it. We have a couple clients that it just ranges, like it could be $1,000 to $30,000 job. Who knows? And a 10% off might be the easiest way to attract someone in. And this is why I think that you need to test it out. But I would probably start with the dollar amount first and then go to a percentage amount from there. Either way, it works. You just have to track what converts better. Um, this one kind of similar. Do promos like 10% off still perform well compared to other offers clients are using, or should we test something different? Again, test something different. 10% off is great. Start with that. Do a dollar amount off, see if that works, and then you can go from there. All right. Next up is follow up and nurtures. How many times should we be calling, texting, or emailing leads before giving up? Okay. This is a really big one. So, like I said, I was working at a home service business, $3 million, and we had no lead management system in place. We were getting 40, 50, 60 leads per day, like calls, forms, chats, all this stuff. And we had no lead management system in place. And this was like the initial thing that I'm like, what is going on with this? Like, we need to fix this. So, a quick barometer: how many times should we be calling, texting, or emailing leads before giving up? There's two thought process on this. The first one is if you're like an HVAC contractor and these people have no AC or no heat, well, it's not like follow up with them for 21 days. It's like hit them up for 3 days because they need AC. So like 3 or 4 times a day, right? If they said I have mold in my house or something that's it's like high urgency, you want to hit them up for like 3 times a day for the first 3 days because clearly you just got to get them on the phone and get out there. It's not about this whole nurture sequence. Now, if someone fills out a form on your website for gutter cleaning and they're like, yeah, I'm interested in getting my gutters cleaned. Okay, it's not as urgent of a service. So you could spread it out over 7 or 14 days to nurture these leads. What we did was, I worked at a duct cleaning company. So we would get calls and people would say, well, how much does it cost? And we would give them some type of a price over the phone, and then the lead was gone forever. And this is the problem: is that if you're giving estimates over the phone, you need to have some type of a, hey, I'll give you an estimate over the phone for sure, but I also want to give you an email so that way you have it on your record and we have it on our record. So if you call in and talk to someone else, we have the same information that we're working off of. That's a really good way to capture their email and then put them into some type of sequence as well. So how many times? It kind of depends on your business, but at least for the first 3 days and then like 7 or 14 days for leads specifically. Would a nurture sequence, automated email, SMS improve our conversion without frustrating people? Okay, this is a really good point. When is too much? Like, when do you not want to, hit people so hard that they're like, leave me alone, man, please stop. And I think it's all about the way that you follow up is this piece. So let's say that you are doing follow-ups. What you don't want to do is be like, hey Phil, tapping people on the shoulder. Hey Phil, are you still want to get this done? Hey Phil, did you come to a decision yet? Hey Phil, do you have any questions? That's annoying and people are gonna leave me alone. The different way to do that is, one, educate. So, hey Phil, as you're making your decision about your gutter cleaning service, here's a pricing guide for you. Hey Phil, as you're making a decision on your HVAC repair, here's a pricing guide for you, or here's what you need to know, or here's a question that you should be asking. Also, hey Phil, a little bit about our company. Here's some of our technicians. They've been with us for years. Also, here's some customer testimonials of real people that have used us in the local community and their experience. And then when you do go for that one shot or those couple shots of like, hey, are you still wanting to do this? You want to actually agitate the problem. So you want to say, hey, Phil, are you still having issues with your gutters? You see how that sounds a little bit different than just like, hey, do you have any questions about the estimate we sent you? Or you still trying to get this done? You reframe it to agitate the problem, and they're going to say, no, I actually got it fixed. Or, yeah, it's still an issue. It's reframing your follow-up that's not going to frustrate people. It's just like you're trying to help them solve their problem, and you just want to know, like, are you still trying to solve this problem or not? All right, next question we got: AI and customer experience. Are customers starting to get AI fatigue when interacting with tools like AI answering service? I would say yes and no. If it's not good, if it's annoying, right? People will be like, "Oh my gosh, I just want to talk to someone, like connect me with someone." Listen to your calls and see what they say. We have one client, They're an HVAC contractor, a couple $1 million, and they they say we only do AI answering service. They don't answer the phones, and they're like, good or bad, we're just having AI answering service answer the phones and then confirm. I'm not saying to do this. I wouldn't recommend doing this, but this is what they do. So we went in and listened to the calls. Some of the people are like receptionist, your representative, and they're frustrated and they move on. Which, if you're trying to grow your business, I would say that's a red flag. But other people just book right in and say, okay, all good. Like, I'm just trying to get service done, so let me book right in. So are people starting to get AI fatigue? If it's bad, yes. If it's good, no. However, the next question that this person put was, should we use AI strictly as a last resort or let it run all the time to improve its learning? My recommendation is last resort. I had Brigham Dickinson on the podcast from Power Selling Pros, and we talked about this. They're the number one CSR coaching company for home service businesses. And we talked about this, and I agree with what he said was this should be a last resort. If your customer service representatives are answering the phone and they can't get to it, right? The phones are busy. Have it roll over to AI answering service. If it's after hours and no one's going to answer the phone, have it roll over to AI answering service. Worst case, then you can always call it back. But it's better than nothing, or it's better than voicemail. But I wouldn't say that this should be the default to start with. Now, if you have something that runs great and you have a lot of testing and a lot of good booking numbers on it, then of course, let that fly and have a CSR or someone manage the calls after that and call people back if there's an issue. But I would say that right now, CSR first, AI after that. People are not getting AI fatigue unless it's not good. All right, next couple questions here is reviews and reputation management. So, what is the best way to handle unfair and or slanderous reviews? Is using AI tools like Vanish.ai effective long term? All right, so Vanish AI is like a tool that basically does what a manual person would do to try to get reviews removed. So I'm going to share with you like what I would recommend doing. We got a lot of one stars, unfortunately. So like, what do we do to get rid of unfair or slanderous reviews? So the first thing is go in and report the review. So when you go in and report the review, you can say that this is not a customer, or you can say this is whatever the information is. So if you go into Google reviews for your Google business profile, go to report the review, and then every 3 days you can report the review. Now, people say that if you have multiple profiles, right? Like I have a Google profile, you have a Google profile, your employees have a Google profile. If multiple profiles report this review, then it can elevate. Okay, wow, this is something that's concerning. We need to really look at this. It's not just one person saying that this is not a good review. It's a bunch of people saying this. And so that's the first thing. Now, this tool, I think Vanish AI, I looked it up a little bit. I think it's like a couple $100 a month. It goes in and does this automatically, and you pay monthly, and it does this. I think the whole premise of bad reviews is there something broken in your process? Like, why are people leaving you bad reviews? If they're leaving you bad reviews because you're not doing something or you're breakdown in communication, then you need to fix that in your business and not rely on tools to try to get rid of reviews, because there's clearly something wrong in your business. Now, if someone is saying something that's crazy, like we get this one a lot. Your truck cut me off. They're speeding down the street. Report that one, and 9 times out of 10, we see that it gets removed because it's not really a customer of yours. So just report it and say it's not a customer, and it's going to get removed. Do you need to pay some type of AI service? There's other companies out there that charge like $1,000 per review to get them removed and stuff. I think that you can do this, but I think the better play is to play offense instead of defense, right? If you get a 1 star review, respond to it and say, hey, if you definitely did something wrong, just own up to it and own it. But I think the long term play is build a system and a team that gets better reviews, and don't worry about the 1 stars. And that's exactly the next question, actually. How can we better incentivize our team to consistently collect more reviews? Okay. This was something that I did at the home service business I was working at. They went from 36 Google reviews to now they have over 4,000 Google reviews. And in the first year, they went from 30 reviews to over 1,000 Google reviews. So here's what we did. They were using an automation, which an automation is not bad, just like AI reception is. It's like a catch-all. So what we did was we incentivized the technicians at the point of sale. So when they finish the job, to say, hey, customer, 2 things for you. First, how was everything with our service that I provided for you today? Would you say that it's five out of 5 stars? Yes. Cool. And we created these little QR code. I actually have one right here. We created these little cards with QR codes, and that QR code goes to the Google Business Profile to leave a review. And so what we would say is, if you get a review technician and it says your name in it, you will get $10 per review that you get. And we had a bunch, we had about 13 routes that we were running, 28 technicians, something like that. So we had a lot of opportunities to get reviews. We were doing 3 jobs a day. So when we turned this on, it was very quick to get reviews. What I would recommend is incentivizing your team. One, give them some type of incentive financially, which a lot of people do that. But two, this is the big one, is you need to incentivize them and you need to make a competition out of it. So here's what we did. We incentivized them financially, but in their room where they go and actually scan their fingerprints to get in. So they go in, scan their fingerprints to clock in for the day. We actually put a big leaderboard on the wall, and each technician had a little truck. And when they got a review, it moved the truck, moved the truck. When they got to 10 reviews, they got a little star on their truck, kind of like in football where you get stars on your helmet. And then they went back to the first rung. And so guys would come in and they'd see someone with like, 20 stars on their truck and they'd say, "What is this?" And it's like, "Oh, this is our review program." Then what we did was when they got to 100 reviews, so we have technicians that literally have hundreds of reviews, we would make a little plaque. So on Canva, we created a little graphic and we had it printed out and we put it on the wall. Now here's the crazy thing. This guy Joel, he came in. I was there. I would get there like 6:30, 7 o'clock. He came in. His plaque was on the wall because he just got 100. He took his phone out and took a picture, and I said, Joel, and English wasn't his first language. I said, Joel, what are you taking a picture of? He's like, I'm gonna send this to my wife. She's gonna be so happy. This is the part that I think a lot of people miss, is that it's not just about the money. It's also about recognizing these people for getting reviews and showing them that you actually care and building this review system in your business that creates the culture of getting reviews. And it takes away the, is there some new AI automation or strategy for this? It's just you're building it into your culture. All right. Next question we have: service area expansion and SEO. What should our service area page strategy look like going forward once we get the top 10 cities targeted? So if you follow our content, we talk about making service area pages, which helps you rank kind of like a little map around your business. And you want to do this every month to build these pages that Google will find and then show when people search for certain services in certain areas. Now, once you kind of max this out, well, what do you do after that? What we recommend is going to the next layer of it. So let's say you do um, gutter cleaning, or let's say you do HVAC service. So your initial service area pages might be HVAC service and repair, or your very like, top of the funnel. This is going to catch all type of things. But then what you would want to do is move down to a secondary tier. So let's say you have this like this main service area page, but then you have sub pages inside of that service area. So inside of that service area page, you might have um, like ductless HVAC installs in a specific city, or humidifier installation in a specific city. And then you have these sub pages that link to the main service page. So then it's kind of like this mini hub of all the city that you want to serve, but all the services you offer in that city. So it's kind of going to the next layer of it inside of targeting specific services that you offer. And this is more of a down the line SEO strategy. If you haven't done any service area pages, do some service area pages, which is like service in city. Then you can go to the next layer of it and get more granular and build out these sub service area pages. All right. Now, this question: what topics should we focus blog and newsletter content on? Should it be more seasonal or service driven? My recommendation would be both. So, what we do is we have a content calendar every single month. So, January, February, March, April, May, all the way to December. And then every month we come up with a theme. So, in your business, like, what's your theme? Your theme is, in January, I should be talking about this. In April, I should be talking about getting your spring tune-ups. In October, I should be talking about getting fall tune-ups. And you kind of know the gist of what's going on in your business and the things you should be talking about. So what we recommend doing is tying both these together, having seasonal stuff like hurricane prep or fall or winter or spring in tandem with the service that correlates with it. So in the fall, it's a spring tune-up, but also you might want a humidifier because it's going to get colder and you might want some moisture in the air going in the winter. Or in the spring, it's like, okay, spring tune-up's coming, so you might want to add IAQ, indoor air quality offering inside of that newsletter. I wouldn't get too crazy on specific newsletters. You want to have a gist of a topic, but inside of the newsletter, you want to educate the customer, have frequently asked questions, cross sell a different service, give a customer testimonial, and be very high level about it. You don't have to get too crazy. Now with blogs, you can get a lot more granular. And the way that I would recommend doing this is like seasonal. Okay, did you know that in the fall in Dallas, Texas, the moisture evaporates from the air and you need to get a humidifier? And that is how you can tie both these together so that it's pertinent to the timing of it while also cross selling the service that makes sense in that season. All right, so that ends our Q&A. Again, if you have a question that you want to submit, obviously drop a comment wherever you're watching it. You can also go to flashconsulting.com/question and submit a question there. And hope this was valuable for you. And I'll see you in the next video.